Hello my friend, my name is Leo Gibson and here are 7 things that I have learned from following my dreams for the past 2 or 3 years. So to give a bit of context, when I was 18 years old, I did my A-levels with the intention to go to uni. I got my results back, I did a little bit worse than what I was hoping for, and then I just decided, oh fuck it, I'm gonna sack off uni for 1 year and try and pursue this dream I have of becoming a full-time content creator. For an entire year, I was working this really shit job in retail and spending the absolute rest of my time every single day just creating content. Also, I told my parents at the time that I was looking for an apprenticeship in finance, which was, you know, a bit of a lie. But I was trying content creation for about a year, seeing absolutely no results at all. And then about July 2024, things started to pick up, and I've been a full-time content creator for about 2 years now. Of course, my dreams have gotten bigger and grown since then, but that's the basic story so far. Now, I would like to quickly preface by saying a couple things. Number 1, I have not achieved my dreams in the slightest. If you had noticed in the title, it says following my dreams. It doesn't say that I have completed them. From my point of view, I'm a long way off. I would definitely say I'm further in the journey than when I started, and I've definitely achieved small things along the way that I would have considered dreams in the past. But if I look at an overarching view of what my dreams actually are, I'm pretty far away from the point I want to be, but I don't have a problem with that because I know that I'm on the right track. And the second thing I wanted to say is that these are by no means the definitive things that you should be focusing on when you want to chase your dreams. These are just some of the things that I've personally learned along the way, and I would love to have here when I was first starting out, but I'm not like a fucking guru or anything. I'm just someone who has actually had the balls to take the leap and actually give it a go. So without further ado, let's actually get started. So the first thing I learned is not to take advice from people who aren't in the positions you want to be in. Now, growing up, I was obsessed with school. I absolutely loved school. I was a proper nerd in the subject. I did sports. School was absolutely incredible for me, and I really bought into it. So much to the point that everything I did was to get into a top university, to get a top corporate job, and then live this perfect life that I'd been, you know, kind of promised. And the reason I thought that way is because everyone around me was telling me that is the best possible path and the best possible trajectory for me to go on. Not to sound like a dick, but I was always pretty smart, and the typical path for smarter people was to go to a top university, to go to a top corporate job, and then climb your way up the ladder. And that is what I was told my entire life. By my teachers, by my parents, every role model I had in my life was telling me to do this. And it's only when I hit like 16, 17 that I actually started to question that. And that is literally because I started consuming content from people who were in positions that I wanted to be in. People like Iman Gadzhi, people like Mark Tilbury, even people like David Dobrik, funny enough. I was seeing the lives that these people had, and I thought, that is what I want. And then when I looked at how they got there, none of them had taken this conventional path. And what I realized from that point onwards is that I was taking advice from people who weren't in the positions that I wanted to be in. The best way I can describe it is like asking a cyclist how to drive an F1 car. It's just not the same. And if I wanted to be a teacher, then I would take the advice of my teachers. But if I wanted to be a businessman or a content creator, I would go to those people. So whatever your dreams or goals might be, maybe you want to be a content creator or an entrepreneur or, I don't know, fucking musician or artist, whatever it might be, go to the people who are in the positions that you want to be in for advice. And if you don't have direct access, then go on social media and just put stuff in the comments, because people do read them and people do reply. But the biggest thing in that point is just to not get caught in the trap of thinking that everybody's advice is valuable, because it's not. The second thing I learned is that you need to be delusional. Now, this sounds like some of that like mumbo jumbo spiritual bullshit like manifestation and shit like that, but it's not. When I say delusion, what I mean by that is you need to be 100% like fully convinced that you can actually achieve the thing that you want to achieve. Like, there shouldn't be even a single doubt in your mind that it's not possible or it's not going to happen. Because as much as this sounds like this spiritual bullshit, it's actually just like, it's proven psychology or biology, whatever it might be, that the thing that you focus on the most will eventually sort of pave its way to you. If you have a very clear goal in mind, an undeniable confidence that you're going to achieve it, plus the hard work to actually get there, then that is a recipe for success, my friend. Number 3, if something works, rinse the absolute fuck out of it. Now, this one's slightly more specific to content creation, but I think it does kind of work across all sorts of goals that you might have. The thing that I notice most about this is if a specific video format works, or a specific email template works, or even reaching out to a specific niche of brand for like brand deals. If one thing works and you notice it works a couple times, rinse the absolute fuck out of it. Yes, it's good to experiment and branch out and stuff like that, but especially when you're in the beginning and you're trying to progress onto that next level, if you find something that works, just absolutely hammer the fuck out of it. If you're a musician and you find that a certain genre of music does well, make a fuck ton of that music. Or if you're a content creator and you make a certain type of, I don't know, vlog, and it does really well, hammer the fuck out of the vlogs. Because I've had so many scenarios, especially in content creation, where I've tried certain things, it's worked, and then I think, oh, I don't really want to be known for this, and then I start experimenting elsewhere, and I see a downward spiral. Whereas if I just stuck with that thing for a little bit, saw the progress, I would then reach a point where I'm happy enough or like big enough to pivot into the things that I genuinely want to do. Whereas if you keep chopping and changing your mind, or chopping and changing what works for you, then you're just going to keep going around in circles. But once you can find one clear thing that works, hammer it home until it doesn't anymore, and then maybe pivot on to the next thing. Number 4, act like the person you want to become. This could genuinely be one of the most important things for me as well. When I was first starting content creation and my ultimate goal was to become a full-time content creator, I would literally just act like I was already some influencer entrepreneur with 1 million followers across platforms, even though I was making the shittest videos, getting 200 views every single day with like 160 followers. But the more I acted like I was actually just an influencer who was really successful, the easier just like everything became. It's a strange sort of phenomenon to describe, but the fact that I genuinely believed I was a content creator, even though I was doing content creation on the side as like a side hustle, making no money, while working at River Island, like stacking fucking shelves and shit for £300 a month. The fact that I genuinely believed I was a content creator made it so much easier to like work through the hustle, work through like, you know, the long days of fucking like editing and shit, even though that to most people that sounds like it's very easy. It's harder than it sounds, okay? It just makes the whole process a lot easier, and it just motivates you a little bit more. I just got back from a holiday with my boy in Malta. It was great. And when I was there, I was almost acting like I was like an entrepreneur taking a break like on holiday. I was wearing very smart clothes, I was like drinking espressos, which is all stuff that I genuinely like to do. But by doing that, it genuinely changed the way that I viewed myself, and it seemed to change the way that other people viewed me as well. Like I was doing everything a bit slower and calmer, and I was walking with more intent, and I just felt very comfortable within myself. And then I felt like the way I was getting treated in restaurants or cafes or in the hotel was just that little bit better, with a little more respect. And that all came from me acting and like kind of believing that I was some, you know, wealthy, affluent entrepreneur, even though I was pretty much LARPing. This entire point is pretty much that LARPing is the way forward. You want to be a specific something or someone, act like you're already there, and it will eventually materialize because you find a way. Number 5, more money isn't always the best option. In August last year, I was on holiday with my friend in Portugal, a different friend by the way, and we were sitting on the beach. My content creation was doing pretty well at the time, and I got a text from the CEO of a tech startup in San Francisco. He texted me and was very straight to the point, and he offered me a 6-figure salary to create content creation for a startup. And I just turned to my friend, I showed him, and we were just blown away. I'm making 6 figures for content creation at 20 years old. That was absolutely mind-blowing to me. Also getting flown out to America and working and living there. That would be absolutely insane. But I didn't end up doing it. Now there was a few factors as to why. One of the main ones is that more money sometimes isn't worth sacrificing your position for. And what I mean by that is the position I was already in, I had time freedom, I had location freedom, and absolutely most importantly of all, I was working towards something that was actually mine. My dreams and goals are my absolute main priority. And by accepting this job, which is incredible money and incredible opportunity, I would kind of be temporarily sacrificing my dreams and goals for the sake of the money. Like if I was working at a startup, my focus would have to be on that startup, not necessarily my own goals and dreams. And this is kind of the mindset I've had over the past 2-3 years, which is why I'm so glad that I am self-employed, I have my own business, is that I don't want to be working on other people's dreams and goals. I want to be constantly working towards my own. And I'm very fortunate enough that I've worked hard enough to the point where I can do that. And even though I got offered more money than what I was making at the time, I realized that the position I had at the time and now is not worth sacrificing. Not to mention I also had the self-belief that I could reach that sort of level of money doing what I'm doing. And I'm very happy to say that it looks like it's heading that way. Now don't get me wrong, there is absolutely nothing wrong with working a job while you pursue your dreams. In fact, for many people, that is probably the best way to go. It's always good to have that safety net. But sometimes I think you really have to weigh up what's worth more. Is it more money, or is it having the ability to chase your dreams and goals? And in that specific situation, it was my dreams and goals that won. Sometimes the certain position you find yourself in for a little bit less money is worth the money that you'd be losing out on, if that makes sense. Number 6, treat it like a business. Unfortunately, my friend, we do not live in a movie. Like you know in the movies where some people have this like crazy dream or goal, and it's like, oh, this is never gonna happen, and then they just work really hard and it happens, and the movie's like, oh, yay, they achieved it and it's great. Unfortunately, as I found, real life does not work like that. You can't just decide you have a dream or a goal, work towards it, and you achieve it. There's a lot more factors that go into it. And one of the main ones that I've found is that with most dreams or goals that people have, especially content creation, which is mine, is you really have to treat it like a business. And what I mean by that is a few different things. Number 1, you have to be showing up every single day. If you had your own business, you'd be working on it every single day. That is something that you need to be doing. Because I can guarantee if you're not, there's someone else who wants the exact same thing as you who is doing it. The second thing I mean is that you need to track and analyze your progress. Now for content creation, this is very easy because it pretty much gives you all the data you need, and you can kind of work out what videos are doing well, what like content styles doing well, stuff like that. If your dreams are like music and art and shit like that, it's probably a little bit different. You can't just expect to pursue a certain dream or goal and it just magically happen after like a couple months or a couple years. You have to actively be striving to get better every single time. Whether that means analyzing sales on your business, whether that means analyzing views on your videos, whatever your goal or dream might be, you have to be analyzing and constantly improving every single time. And finally, number 7 is you need to make sacrifices. Sounds a lot more dramatic than it actually is. I don't mean you have to kill anyone. What I mean by this is if you are genuinely really serious about achieving this certain dream or goal, then there are certain things that you have to miss out on in order to do that. Of course, there's the obvious stuff like you have to show up every day, you have to work long hours, but there's the little things that tie into that as well. Like there's been countless times for me where my friends have asked me to play golf or go out for food or go on a night out or something like that. And I've had to turn them down because I know that I need to work on my content. I've had to turn them down because I know that the next morning I have a call early. It's just these little sacrifices here and there that you need to be really conscious of when you are pursuing a certain dream or goal. Because if you claim that you are really serious about achieving a certain thing, and then you're constantly going out and you're constantly missing work or buying stupid shit, then you'll just obviously never get there. But if you're actively making a conscious decision to miss out on certain things in order to pursue it a little bit more, pretty much just not saying yes to everything, then that to me is a very good sign that you're going to go far. Now, of course, my dreams and goals are constantly expanding and growing and getting bigger. Like as I said at the start, when I decided not to go to uni, my ultimate goal was to become a full-time content creator. Now that I've been a full-time content creator for some time now, I now want to become a bigger content creator. But hopefully in the pursuit of that, I learn a few more things, and hopefully you learn a lot more yourself along the way too. So it's a bit more of a serious video than I thought, not really my usual style, but I hope you found it useful, my friend, and I will see you tomorrow.